Hello, litigators. Court is now in session. My gosh, today was a very emotional, sad, heartbreaking day in the game of football. A lot of people don't know this about me, but I love football. It's one of my most favorite sports. It's something where I get so passionate about. And today was a very emotional, sad day for football. I think just pretty much brought me to tears, and not just myself, but people on the field were in literal tears when they saw DAMAR Hamlin collapse on the field after he was tackled, and a player literally collided in his chest. And a rare incident happened where there was a medical term that the doctor will come and speak about it a little later after I read the article. Where your heart is beating at a certain point, and if someone collides at that very rare time frame, it could cause a very severe injury, almost to the point where the person can die if they don't get immediate CPR, immediate treatment. So this was very sad to see football players, grown men on the field crying. It was very sad to see, and I wanted to share with you guys because, like I said, football is something that's near and dear to me, something I really love. We're almost close to the wonderful time that everybody loves, which I really, really love, coming up next month. Super Bowl. I just love it, love it, love it. And I get all emotional and screaming and all that stuff. So it's a beautiful sport, but at the same time, it's a dangerous sport. And I feel very sad for Hamlin, and I just pray you guys pray for him. So let's get into the article, and then we'll hear from a doctor about what he thinks has happened in this case. DAMAR Hamlin collapses. Administered CPR. Tim Tebow, J.J. Watt, Kenny Pickett send thoughts and prayers. And it was a very emotional game. It was so bad, the injury, that the game ended right after the injury. They didn't even continue to play. The Buffalo Bills players pray for teammate DAMAR Hamlin during the first half of an NFL game against the Cincinnati Bengals. And this was just today. And it's sad because our year has just started. This was in Cincinnati. He's only 24 years old, guys, a young kid, basically. He just was drafted last year. So he's not that, he's not really well-rounded yet in football in the NFL. Buffalo Bills safety DAMAR Hamlin collapsed on the field and was administered CPR before being driven away in an ambulance during Monday night's game against the Cincinnati Bengals. Hamlin collided with Bengals receiver T. Higgins after a completion. He got to his feet. This was the part that was disturbing. He stood up, guys. He appeared to adjust his face mask with his right hand and then fell backward about 3 seconds later, laying motionless. So sad. The people were saying he had a heart attack at that point. Hamlin was surrounded by stunned players, both teams, and when he was taken off the field 60 minutes later, the Bills gathered in prayer. The game was suspended 21 minutes after the injuries. Players walked off the field, and players were literally crying, guys. Grown men. I mean, grown masculine men in the field crying. It was so sad to see that because in sports, these players formulate strong emotional bonds. They have to go through rigorous training. They're hours upon hours together. So they develop very strong bonds of a relationship. It's like a brotherhood. So this is not just playing sports. These people are like family to each other. They formulate love for each other, care for each other. So it's a brotherhood. And to see your own brother fall to the ground and almost near death, and you don't know if he's going to make it because he's still in the hospital in critical condition, and they have a tube down in his body. So he's still literally under critical condition. They say that he's out of critical condition, but when you have a tube in you, to me, in my opinion, sounds like it's still not safe to say he's out of the clear yet. But this is very sad, guys, in the game of sports. Emmanuel Ocho says, join me in praying for DAMAR Hamlin's recovery, peace for his family and loved ones, wisdom for doctors and physicians in contact with DAMAR right now. The prayer of a righteous person is powerful and effective. I really pray he lives. James 5:16. That's my prayer. Some other people put things on IG. Someone put Kenny Pickett on DAMAR Hamlin on IG. The thoughts and prayers of all the Bills Mafia are supporting you, DAMAR. We're with you, 3. This is so sad, guys. This is just different people posting things. Lord, lift up DAMAR Hamlin. We're praying for you. That was from Chase. Rachel Nichols. DAMAR has arrived at Cincinnati Hospital after medical officials administer CPR. And that was just a actual camera footage of him in that ambulance. And they did the right thing, guys, because they did administer CPR immediately. That's really the only way you can survive such a traumatic injury like that to the heart, especially at that rare instance. So the fact that they immediately administered CPR might have been, guys, what will save his life. He's not in the clear, though, so I hope if you guys are prayer warriors out there to just be in deep prayer for this poor young man. I don't want to see another death, man. We just got into 2023. The deaths need to stop, man. Can we get a break, guys? Can we get a break? Especially this young kid. He's 24, man. He's a young kid. Someone from Pitt Football says DAMAR is the best of us. We love you. 3, praying for you. That is his number. That's why they keep saying 3. That is his number. This is so sad, guys. JJ Watt says the game is not important. DAMAR Hamlin's life is important. Please be okay. Please. I love that they're putting his life above this. Oh, this is so sad. There was like another scary incident that happened years back. And nothing scary like this has happened until what happened to DAMAR, guys. This is just so sad. I literally just, I cried seeing those grown football players cry. That's what took me out, because I was like, my gosh, to see these men, men are pretty strong. And if they cry, it's got to be serious. Tim Tebow says, please join me in prayer for DAMAR. I think these are all pretty much more people. And then the Sports Center says, this isn't about a football player. This is about a human. I'm really proud of these individuals taking this approach, because a lot of people, they put the football above the human. I mean, that's been happening in a lot of years, but I'm really proud of these individuals that are realizing that it's more than just a game, that this is about a life. Stephen A. Smith, everybody knows Stephen A. Smith, well known in the sports area of life. He says, dang, I'm not going to say the word. This is scary. Prayers up for Buffalo Bills safety, DAMAR Hamlin, who is in critical condition. Just praying this brother survives and ends up okay, guys. This is so sad, man. Emmett Smith says, Lord, send your anointing and healing into the medical facility with DAMAR Hamlin, doctor, and the family in Jesus' name. I could just feel these prayers. They're so heartfelt. It's just, I could feel them through the screen. I don't know about you guys, but let's hear from the doctor, because the doctor is really going to tell us what he thinks and suspects what happened. And I watched another doctor that gave the same opinion. So in my opinion, because I'm hearing from different doctors saying the same thing, I, would think that this is possibly what happened to him. So let's hear from this doctor.
David. Well, what we can tell is that the event was most probably secondary to that hit. There are other episodes where athletes are running, they're exerting themselves, and will have a ventricular arrhythmia secondary to a hypertrophic or enlarged heart. That's different. This was traumatic. And we see that hit happened in that upper chest area. And there are a couple of things that could happen under this scenario. The first we think about, obviously, is the spinal cord injury. It doesn't seem like that's what happened here. Because when you have a spinal cord injury that does injure acutely that cervical spine, you don't get back up. You're on the floor and you stay on the floor. He was able to get back up. That leads us to believe this is more of a cardiac injury. When you have a cardiac injury, a couple of things, again, could happen. With a large enough hit to the anterior chest, you can transect the aorta, the large blood vessel coming out of that heart. But when that happens, number one, that's not survivable usually, and you don't stand up after that kind of injury. Even if it was a mild dissection, these are very significant injuries. It's a very common injury. The third thing we're thinking about, it's called the R on T phenomenon. This is a phenomenon that when the heart is going between its beats, as that heart is depolarizing and then repolarizing, if you have traumatic trauma to the chest, at a very specific moment, as that heart is repolarizing itself, you can go into a lethal ventricular arrhythmia. And that's what it looks like it happened, because he was able to stand up. And at that point, his heart started what we call defibrillating. That's that cardiac arrest. That's when he collapsed back down, and they would have recognized at that point no pulse. If it had been a cervical injury, you wouldn't expect him to have lost his pulse that soon. Same thing with a transection of the aorta. You may still have a pulse for a very brief moment. At this time, he had no pulse when he hit the ground. That's more of a ventricular arrhythmia that he was having. This is a dysrhythmia that happens after trauma. Now, the mainstay of treatment would have been, number one, protecting his airway, and then defibrillating the patient. We know that we have AEDs, or the automated defibrillators, all around our community. I am certain that they were in that facility. They were also on the ambulance, and we hope that he was defibrillated quickly. And that brings the heart back relatively quickly because it shocks that dysrhythmia back into a normal heartbeat. They would have immediately intubated him and protected his airway, which they did. And if they're able to bring that heart back by defibrillating him, at this juncture, whether he survives or not, it will be dependent upon how long he was down and how long he was not getting oxygen. And now it sounds like he is in the ICU or in the medical facility, intubated at this time with a heartbeat. That's the information we're hearing right now. That means that he was most likely brought out of that lethal dysrhythmia. And now it's going to be dependent upon how long he was down and how much anoxia his brain would have sustained.
My gosh, guys, this is so sad, isn't it? My gosh. So he's not in the clear. So, but the thing is, what he said is at least they're saying that they got him in time. They were able to at least get his arrhythmia back, going. And it's all about how long his brain was out the oxygen. So, man, guys, please pray for him. This is so emotionally sad. Like, wow, it's gut-wrenching because, man, football is dangerous as it is, y'all. But to see this man literally collapse and just to imagine the emotional toll it took on the players. Oh, I'm going to play this video for you guys. Hold on. I'm going to play this video for you guys. Let me just get the commercials out the way, y'all. But I'm going to play this video for you guys so you could actually see the football players, because you have to really have seen the emotions that the football players went through and to really see how the magnitude of it. But this is just, man, guys, I don't know, man. I love football, but not at the expense of people's lives, y'all. So we're going to play this video.
Buffalo Bills safety DAMAR Hamlin collapsed following a hard hit to the chest, collapsed and was on the field for 30 minutes as his teammates wept and prayed, as medical personnel performed CPR. This appeared to be a very significant situation, if not a life-threatening situation. 30 minutes after the hit, see the ambulance leaving the stadium. It initially appeared as if the game might go on, and then there was a conference of the coaches, a long delay with the teams in the locker room. The NFL came out and said tonight there would be no football game played tonight. Difficult to see how that was even possible. DAMAR Hamlin is now in a hospital in Cincinnati in critical condition.
And so much unusual about this hit. I feel like we always hear about neck injuries and head injuries, but to see an injury to the chest to be the cause of this, we want to bring in cardiologist, 9 News medical expert, Dr. Pyle Coley. Of course, we're still waiting for more information and updates, and we'll be bringing them to you as we get them. But how important, I guess is the first question, is timing here?
It's so critically important. And I just want to say that even though as a cardiologist, I see cardiac arrest on a regular basis, they never cease to horrify me. And my thoughts and prayers are really with DAMAR's family tonight, hoping for recovery for him. But really the most important factor here is how quickly that CPR was administered. And in fact, the American Heart Association says that getting quick CPR can double or triple your chances of survival. Now, we are looking at a very dismal out of hospital cardiac arrest has a 90% fatality. So we're really hoping that DAMAR falls here in that 10%, and that quick CPR, I think, really does make a difference between life and death. And in my mind, a message to all of us that if we're not CPR trained or certified, we really need to become so, because it can save somebody's life.
Dr. Coley, one thing that we don't know, there's been a presumption that there was a defibrillator used. They would have had one on standby there at the stadium. We know just from visual observation that there was CPR given, and that it appeared to last, what to us lay people, I guess, a significant amount of time. It was 10 minutes worth of CPR.
And I thought was good about that video, guys, is that video actually, we got to see another doctor's perspective that saw. I like to look at different perspectives to, make sure we're getting credible information. But really, they're talking about the timing. So, man, he's not even in the clear yet, guys. Again, I want to show you some videos just of the reactions of the players, because, again, you have to really see the reactions.
Simply remarkable.
For this, I'm not going to really play the sounds more so. I just want you to see the clips of the pictures of the individuals and their reactions. So that's what I'm going to play for you now. Hold on. So sad, guys. Look at all the players and just how sad it is. They actually have a video of the play-by-play, and I don't feel comfortable playing that. That is so sad. You guys could see that online. I'm pretty sure you guys can go search for the actual play if you want to see it, but it's so sad to see someone get tackled like that and then collapse. So I'm not going to play that, but just looking at the reaction of the players, that really shows you the bond that these football players have. It's not just a game. They bond. Because they go through strenuous training, and a lot of them bond over the strenuous times and moments that they have to prepare together and formulate their bond and their team, and their whole have to be in sync. So it's a deep thing for them to have experienced this. It's scary. So one of starting the year out pretty bad already with this severe injury, but just looking at the people, this is DAMAR right here in the photo, just in case you're new and you don't know who DAMAR is. This is a photo of DAMAR here, Mr. Hamlin. So we're just praying that he pulls through, praying that he survives this, guys. This is just such a sad, sad day. Is anybody out there, you guys, football players out there, any football fans? Yeah, he's 24. Yes, loving food stamps. He is loving my food stamps. He's 24. Very sad. Hi, T. She said, hi, all. This is very tragic. I know, it's very sad. Oh, man, guys. So keep them in your prayers. I'm going to see if there's any more videos of it, because I would like to see if they have any live footage, photos, or live videos of the football players. Because those were still shots. Let's see. Terrifying moment as people collapse. Let's see what this one's about. Okay, yeah, this one. We'll wait till this commercial goes off, guys. You know how the commercials are. Here, let me share this one with you guys.
Right before the top of the hour, it was this is actually something that's just happened at the Monday night football game tonight between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills. It happened right before the top of the hour. It was in the first quarter of the game. A safety for the Buffalo Bills named DAMAR Hamlin, the number 3 jersey in white there. He made a tackle against another player, and then he fell to the ground. I'll show you that again. Tackles the gentleman number 85 in the dark colored jersey from the Bengals, stands up, and then he collapses backwards. Hamlin is...
Well, it wasn't my intention to play that. It looks like it was on the video, guys, but sorry if you guys weren't comfortable with seeing it. I really apologize. I had no clue it was going to be on there, but well, it's on there. Looks like the news wanted to play it for us, but that was what happened. And just see how traumatic it was. It looks like some the other player hit him directly in the chest at the most rare time when your heart is moving at a certain pace. Oh God, I'm sorry for playing that. Just apology for that. I didn't know that was going to be there. I wanted to play to see the football players' reactions, but hey, there it is. There was the traumatic play there.
24 years old. Again, his name is DAMAR Hamlin. He's been in the league for 2 years. After he fell over backwards here following this tackle, he was unresponsive thereafter, which immediately became clear it was quite an emergency. First responders came onto the field, including in an ambulance. Players surrounded him and knelt on the field. Medics administered CPR for what ESPN described as, quote, many, many minutes out on the field. He was given oxygen. There was one report in the New York Times that he appears to have been given an IV, although that is unconfirmed by any other source. They eventually took him off the field in the ambulance, which left the stadium at 9:25 p.m. So Mr. Hamlin's status at this moment, again, is unclear. He is 24 years old. This game is suspended. ESPN reports that the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, is in contact with officials on site about how to proceed tonight, whether they're going to restart the game. Hard to imagine that they will. But this was just an incredibly scary moment tonight. We will keep you posted as we know more. But joining us now is William Roden. He was a longtime sports reporter at the New York Times. Mr. Roden, thank you very much for joining us so quick.
Man, guys, that was sad. I'm sorry I played it. I didn't intend to play it, but hey, the news wanted to play it. But as you could see, though, in the video, how sad and scary that was. He literally, his body gave out and he literally collapsed. And they said he was not responsive after that. What I really wanted you to see, though, was the reaction of the football players. That, to me, really is what took my soul, God. It was so sad because, you know, men don't cry. So when it's something serious and men, it brings something to a man to tears. That is, man, that literally made me cry, and just to see this soul laying there. So you guys just keep DAMAR in your prayers. A very sad day in the game of football. Question I have for you guys: should we keep playing this football game? Is it really worth it? The lives that are being injured. I mean, not just this type of injury, which is rare that happens, but what is rare in what is common in football is the CTE injuries, the brain injuries, and what the different effects that it have on football players. Is it really worth it? Is it really worth it for all the sake of entertainment? Just seeing these beautiful souls sustaining all these very severe injuries after they play the games, or even risking their lives each time they play the games? That's the question I have. I know, see, Nashville, I knew somebody was going to say the vax, and there was this amazing doctor that came out on YouTube. Where is that doctor? Let me see, guys, because I already showed a doctor to you. But there was another doctor that was online. He has a YouTube. There it is. I'm going to show you this other doctor, guys. Guys, sorry for bringing you all these doctors. But there is this great doctor who has a YouTube. And I thought, in my opinion, out of all the doctors I've seen, I thought he was the best doctor, because he actually shows you a diagram. And what he said is he doesn't think it was the vaccine, because he knew people were going to come out with that whole vaccine thing. So let me play that video for you guys, because I think he was the best doctor, to be honest. He has a YouTube channel, but out of all the doctors I've seen give the rendition of this, he was the best. So I'm going to play this for you guys. He says it is not the vaccine, because a lot of people immediately went for the vaccine. So let's hear what he has to say.
I started Jewel Dantzler in 2011 when I was a teen.
One of the most rare things we can see in what we just witnessed tonight is one of the most rare things we can see in sports medicine, as DAMAR Hamlin went down with what appeared to be cardiac arrest after taking this hit on the field. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Suter, and on this channel, I try to teach you about the sports medicine world and give you some insight into what we see on the field. What we saw happen tonight is not related to any sort of vaccines. This is almost certainly something called commotio cordis, an extremely rare condition that's one of those things that we typically only think we're going to read about in textbooks. Essentially, what can happen is if you have a blunt trauma to the chest that occurs at exactly the right time in the cardiac electrical cycle, your heart can be sent into cardiac arrest. As Hamlin comes in here, we can see this square hit to the front of his chest. We see him get back up momentarily before ultimately collapsing back down to the ground and requiring CPR on the field. This is a tracing of our heart's electrical activity. Basically, this is one cycle of the heart squeezing. Starts off with this P wave, which is the electrical activity of the atrium at the top of the heart squeezing, then the QRS complex, which is going to be the ventricles acting. But then the last phase is this T wave, where the ventricle basically depolarizes and kind of resets to get ready for the next cycle. For commotio cordis to happen, you have to suffer this blunt trauma to the chest at exactly the right moment, specifically on this upstroke of the T wave, in order for the heart to then be sent into this arrhythmia and subsequent cardiac arrest. This is one of those things that not only do you have to have a high enough force, but it has to happen within milliseconds of a time window, because if that impact comes at any other time in this electrical cycle, you're fine. You don't go into this. But when it happens at just this right time during this upstroke of the T wave, and if it's high enough, then you can have this thing called commotio cordis. We typically think of it happening in baseball players whenever they get hit in the middle of the chest with a hard thrown ball, but unfortunately that looks like what is most likely to have happened here with Hamlin. Treatment like this is obviously CPR and defibrillation as quickly as possible, because this can absolutely be a life-threatening thing. Again, this is not something that people should go speculate about vaccines or anything like that causing this cardiac arrest. There was a clear contact, a clear trauma, and I think a clear reason why, unfortunately, this happened for Hamlin.
So there you have it. Your answer, your question was answered, Nashville TN 1533, by that wonderful doctor. I really think he was the best doctor that I've seen. We pretty much got to see 3 different perspectives from 3 different doctors. So that we got a good advantage on this live, kind of looking at what the different doctors are saying. So it was interesting what this doctor said it was. So I wanted to take a look at that and break that down a little bit to what he said he thinks happened. I really liked that doctor. You guys let me know what you think about that doctor. But he says he doesn't think it's the vaccine like a lot of people were speculating. But he says it's this condition called the commotio cordis, which is a medical definition that means sudden cardiac arrest from a blunt, non-penetrating blow to the chest. And that is what we actually saw on that video. The video did show someone, the other player, charge directly into the chest of DAMAR Hamlin. And then right after that, he stands up and then immediately falls back. So they did render the proper aid, was what I saw, is how they hurry up and went on the field. But it just depends on the timing. We don't know exactly the timing in which they got to him to start the CPR. So guys, just keep him in your prayers. Yeah. And I hear what Amazing Tribe was saying. Amazing Tribe was saying that it is, business. And I know it's sad because it's business at the expense of people's lives. So I already know that it's a business, which is why, these poor souls' lives keep being risked. But just look at what it's doing to people, guys. It's so sad. Like that guy, what's his name? Anthony Brown? Or what is that football player that just keeps acting out? The one that took his shirt off at the game last year. I think it's Anthony Brown. Yeah, Anthony Brown. You see what happened to him and how he literally seems like he has lost his mind after he sustained multiple severe head injuries, one very severe one. So guys, it's just like, I don't know. I get it's a sport or it's a business. It's just sad, guys. I don't know. It's right, like John T. Jackson said, it's a dang shame. It's like, it makes me feel guilty. If I'm gonna watch this stuff, it's like I'm partaking in this tragedy. Oh, and speaking of how the first doctor, I thought the first doctor was interesting, and it immediately made me think of Shanquella, because remember how he was saying there's 2 different injuries you could sustain in this situation. One, it could be a spinal injury, and he said in the spinal injury you would not get back up. Ooh, and that made me think of Shanquella, because remember in that video when she was injured, she fell. When she was knocked down, she fell, and she didn't appear to have gotten back up. I mean, we didn't get the whole video, but she didn't appear to get back up. So that was a difference we could see from where in one video we see somebody get slammed to the ground, like by the neck, and apparently she didn't get back up, but we don't know because we didn't get the whole video. And then now you see this where DAMAR Hamlin is tackled, and he does get back up, except that he falls backwards and possibly has sustained here what you see on the screen, commotio cordis, due to this sudden cardiac arrest from a blunt, non-penetrating blow to the chest. The basis of the cardiac arrest is ventricular fibrillation, a chaotically abnormal heart rhythm triggered by a chest wall impact immediately over the anatomic position of the heart. So, wow, that is pretty sad. Let's pray that he survives, guys. All right, have a good night otherwise, and just keep praying for DAMAR. Take care.